Hi, Paul Bedford here from Retention Guru, and in this video I want to talk about two concepts, one which is getting lots and lots of attention and the other which I think is still just as relevant but not as common or people are just aren't as aware of. The one that people are really cottoning onto at the moment is about this optimization of workouts, measuring what's going on, measuring or quantifying the self. The other side of that coin, so to speak, would be satisficing, doing enough, doing enough. Now, one is very much numbers driven and logic driven. The other one is really emotionally driven. And I want to just review some of the things that I've been looking at and give you some ideas or suggestions about how you might manage your members who have perhaps these completely different concepts about how important exercise is within their lives. So here we go. Optimizing versus satisficing. Now, just like a lot of other people, I love a good scroll on my phone. There are times when I do just, grab a cup of tea, sit down and think, do you know what, I'm going to scroll and just be distracted and entertained for a few minutes. And I came across this on Instagram by Dan Lloyd Haynes, and it made me laugh, but it also made me think about this whole concept, because in it, which you'll see in a second, I think he really hits the nail on the head. Now, I think if we're trying to attract a wider audience into the health and fitness market, we need to be mindful that we don't make the entry point too high, or we don't ask for too many changes in people's lives too quickly. If you look at the research around behavior change, it's usually focus on one thing, get successful, add something, get successful, keep adding small. That then accumulates, but also you get to a tipping point where people can then actually make big steps in terms of their changes. But it starts with these small steps. But watch the video first, and then I'll come back to you about the other concepts around this.
Oh yeah. Just wanted to confirm that everyone else was doing like no screen time before bed, sleeping in a cold room with no coffee before 11 a.m, warm water with lemon and ginger, open your eyes, but no phone for the first 2 hours, sunlight in your third eye, first thing, red light therapy for half an hour, 10,000 steps a day, an ultramarathon with no social media, 12 eggs, raw goat's milk with 3 avocados, 2 raw steaks on a full plant-based diet, dip down in magnesium spray with ashwagandha, zinc, vitamin B12, sauna, gym, cold therapy, but only before the gym because it'll affect the gains, electrolytes, hit your protein goals, 2 litres of water, but please God, not tap water, no gel and gum, sucralose, sugar sweeteners, no porn, meditation for half an hour a day, also whilst completing a high rocks and microdosing whilst replying to 34 WhatsApp, 6 of which are 3-minute long voice notes, checking in with your friends and family, maintaining a relationship, writing in your gratitude journal whilst going to therapy, and not to mention a job and kids. Just checking everyone else is doing that.
Now, the way in which academia has studied decision making was very much based originally around economics. People that, with the assumption that people would think logically, they would make rational decisions based on information that would benefit them, or they would make decisions to avoid something that would create a deficit to them. And a lot of economic models are based around that, but that's been found to not be the way people think. And over the years, economics has not been completely replaced with behavioral economics, but behavioral economics has been designed to help us understand how people make these choices and when they make these choices. Now, for me, optimizing is about making rational choices. It's about understanding the human body and what you're going to do and how often you're going to do it, and it's all measurable. Whereas satisficing is ticking the box. And if you've listened to Arnold Schwarzenegger's recent book, he talks about the difference there between ticking the box or ticking the box. Now, people who are probably on the more satisfying end of a continuum are like, am I doing enough? Is this okay? I'm going to do this today. But they're not needing to quantify it. They don't need the metrics. Did I go for a run? Yeah, I did. What did I feel out of breath? Yeah, I did. How did it make me feel? Good. So it's much more emotionally driven rather than rationally driven. Now, the Economist here in the UK, produced a really good article on the quantified self about how we measure things. And if you're thinking of the quantified or the optimized person, this is what they're going to be looking to do. They're going to be looking to measure as much as they can. They're going to be measuring their heart rate variability, their blood glucose, their sleep patterns, their hydration, their nutrition. They're going to look at their macros. They're quantifying their entire workout structure. And I would suggest this: someone who's at this level, their health and fitness is the priority in their life, and everything else is secondary, maybe. Whereas people who are satisficing are saying, I've got one life, I do want to be healthy and I want to be fit, but I don't need to optimize that as long as I'm doing enough things that are better for me than are detrimental to me. Now, the way in which we optimize is we're going to be using wearable devices. We're going to be using Apple Watches, Nora Rings and Whoop and things like that. And it was interesting to listen to someone the other day talking on a podcast who said they not only had a Whoop ring on, they had another ring on, which I think was Ultra Human ring, and they were comparing the data. And the comments that were being made is like, everybody's tracking. I'm not sure that's true. I'm not. I do wear an Apple Watch, and each day I will look to close my rings, but that's about as much tracking as I do. And if I don't close them every day, I don't really care. So we're using wearable devices, we're using apps to record and document that. Then they're using their algorithms to work out what we need to do more or less of. And yes, we're seeing more tools like 3D scanners and sleep trackers and all these other things that allow us to measure what's either going on with our body or what's going into our body. On the other side of that coin, as I described it, you've got satisficing. Satisficing is a decision-making strategy or cognitive heuristic that entails searching through the available alternatives until an acceptable threshold is met, without necessarily maximizing any specific objective. And that came out by Herbert Simons in, 1956. So the whole concept is with satisficing is good enough. Am I doing it enough? So satisficing could be termed or described as I turned up and I did a workout, which would be true for a lot of people. You know, they're ticking the box. Did I work out today? Yes. That's good enough for them. I lifted some weights and felt fatigued. Yes. I trained most of my muscle groups. Yes. I did some cardio for about 17 minutes and got my heart rate up. I joined a group X or small group exercise class and completed that. Last week, I worked out daily-ish. Not I worked out to a set routine, a set pattern. What I'm seeing a lot of in terms of information being shared is like, I got up at 4 a.m. It's back to the video at the beginning. I had an ice bath. I got daily sunlight. I live here in the UK. I haven't seen daily sunlight since last summer. But it's the opposite of that. It's not that they're not interested in fitness and health, but they don't feel a desire to quantify that. They're much more emotionally driven. So I love this idea of daily-ish, and I use it myself. How many times a week do I work out? Daily-ish. Are there days where I don't work out? Yep. Are there days where I plan to work out and I didn't work out? Yep. Often if I'm traveling, particularly from where I live here in London, and I'm traveling east, perhaps to the Middle East or the Far East, the time zone challenges can be horrific in terms of trying to actually fit in a workout. And, I have caught myself walking up and down the airport concourse to try and get, close a ring and things like that. But if I miss a day, does it matter so much? I'm not so hardcore into my exercise that if I land, I have to run up and down the concourse all the time to make sure I've got, 2,000 calories burnt today. Daily-ish is an approach where we're getting enough to be healthy, but we're not worried about satisfying a specific number. So I talked about the Apple Watch. I wear an Apple Watch. I have done since about 2019. And I had a period of time, particularly during lockdown, where I planned to close my rings every day. It was something to focus on every day. And I did it for about 8 or 9 months. Now I try and close the standing one and the exercise one daily. And so I have months that look like this. And you can see that in terms of exercise and walking, a lot of mine's walking and cycling, they're closed almost every day, but there are days where they're not. And there are days when I forget to charge my watch, or I forget to take the charger with me when I'm traveling. And so there are days when there's nothing recorded, and that's fine. So whether you're into exercise and you're into walking, jogging, running, or even sprinting, you can do that without having to quantify and just do it for the joy of doing the exercise. Just because you don't measure it doesn't mean it doesn't count. You could do any one of these 4 activities and quantify them. You could do any one of these 4 activities and not quantify them and go, have I done enough? I was asked recently on a podcast at the end, it was quick fire questions. What do you listen to when you're working out? And I just went, I don't listen to anything. I said, well, the only thing I do listen to is I listen to my body. I don't wear earbuds. I'm not listening to music. I'm not listening to podcasts. When I'm working out, I'm listening to my body. I'm paying attention to how my heart rate feels, my breathing, my muscles. So we don't have to quantify everything. And I think my take on this is I did that for years. As a cyclist, I measured heart rate variability, power, output, everything. And I planned all my workouts. Now I'm more daily-ish. I'm satisficing. And for me, that's still good enough. I'll be interested in your comments and your thoughts on this, because I know if you're a quantifier, this is going to really feel uncomfortable. That's it for now. I'll talk to you again soon. Take care. Bye.